Okay, guys. Welcome back to Simply Best Crafts. I'm trying to keep my voice down because I got some very serious stuff to discuss with you. I think this collab is trying to take us out one by one with all of these weird and mysterious craft supplies that they keep bringing into this whole challenge. I mean, did you see what we had to craft with this time? They're literally trying to drive us insane, you guys. I swear. I swear. I believe this is a trying to call. This is a try to call for help. They're literally making us craft with toilet paper, not the roll. Toilet paper and pill bottles. Guys, send help, please. Let's get into the crafts, guys. I hope you guys enjoy this. Alright guys, so here starts just our imagination. And I hope you have an imagination. So our guest host is Joanna's DIY Life, and hosts are Brenda with Rustic and Lace and Kathy Jo with Kathy Jo DIYs. And we're gonna hop right into DIY number 1. So I'm gonna use two of our must-use items on this project, mophead and and toilet paper. Of all projects or all DIY challenge items is toilet paper. So I grabbed this birdhouse that I've had in my stash. I got it from a thrift store. I am just cutting strips of this Dollar Tree pieces of the colored well, you can see what I'm doing. I'm just basically gluing down pieces of this mophead now, and just basically gluing it in pieces. I do not show you all of this, I promise, but I go through the whole around the whole birdhouse with this. I basically wanted to give it kind of like the lined effect. I started off with doing this like this, and that was the biggest mistake. So learn from my mistake here and basically tear it in pieces and wet it down. I start off with just trying to wet it, and then I'll have to eventually go in and grab my Mod-Podged, and I'm going to be Mod-Podging the pink part of the birdhouse, and then sticking my I kind of show you better here on the side. That's kind of why I skipped ahead. But what I'm doing is I'm Mod-Podging the area here, and I am doing over even the mophead, and I am just Mod-Podging everything down. I got this even sped up to 8, and then I'm using the water to kind of water down the Mod-Podged even and the toilet paper. And I'm just going around and just basically watering down all around those little, where the divots are in the mophead and stuff. We're kind of making it to where it looks like a log cabin is kind of where I'm going with it. So I guess we're kind of going for a I guess a weird way of what's the word? Using paper mâché, I guess. But it does work, it turns out. And then I had to let it dry. I did end up going over it again when I came back after letting it dry with another coat of the Mod-Podged, just to make sure that it is completely adhered. And then I'm going over it. I started going over it with like, it's this like coffee bean brown. It just wasn't the color that I was expecting. So I did end up taking the coffee brown and then chestnut, and just kind of going over top of it with the chestnut. It's kind of like I'm blending the colors together, and that worked a lot better. It's kind of more of the color than I was expecting. And I go over the entire thing except for the roof with that mixture. I do go over the roof with Layered Chocolate from DIY, and right here I am kind of dry brushing over the top of my dry paint here with that Layered Chocolate, just to kind of give it kind of like a dingier kind of brown. I wanted to make it look like, I mean, it's weathered, it's been kind of in the woods for ever and everything, so that's kind of where I was going with that. I do go in then with Warm Buff, and I'm kind of going in with, I wanted to kind of go in that, but it didn't, yeah, no. Anyway, I take the same paintbrush, and I'm kind of just going in between those little creases of where our divots were, where our mophead were, and I'm just kind of blending in. It's kind of gonna be where the spackling would be, of where you would be putting together your logs, I guess, is kind of where I was going with that. So that's kind of where I wanted that effect to go, but I wanted it to kind of look like weathered, so I did kind of blend that in with some of that color too. So of course we're in our little Christmas season, so we needed it to make it look snowy, so we're going in with a little bit of white paint here, and we needed to make our roof look snow covered, so I'm going over the edges and stuff to make it look a little bit more snow covered. After I get all of that done, I found this little Cardinal bird. I've had this in my stash. I got this from a garage sale in a pack of little birds. And he had a little wire on his feet, and I just cut it off and I glued it down. And there you guys got it. Turned out kind of cute. DIY number 2. This is where our pill bottles come in. I do end up doing 2 projects with pill bottles, so just you wait. This is not it. So I am going to just mark 4 little holes on the bottom of this pill bottle. Well, it's going to be the bottom of it. This isn't exactly where my mind was going with this when I first decided to do this, but I am using my glue gun to kind of puncture holes into the bottom of this. And I'm going to use skewer sticks to put in for legs. I do sand off the bottoms of them a little bit. I do that for 4 of them. I do end up doing another hole here on top. I did not know what the heck I was doing when I first started this. I was just kind of, I had the idea of trying to make a reindeer out of these pill bottles. I had this white one, and then I had one of the orange ones. And I was like, well, I don't want to make just something just ordinary. I want to kind of try to create something out of this. and I wanted to cut them apart and try to build something instead of like making a snowman or something along the lines of like that. So I'm trying to be creative and do something along those lines. So this is where my mind was going with this, and it ended up going with, I had to get out my clay. After I ended up putting that stick in the top there, I started looking at where this little the cap was for this pill bottle, and it just looked funky as heck. And then of course once I put the clay on the front of it, it was front heavy, so then I had to give him a booty because it was just too front heavy, and he needed some clay in the back, so we gave him a little bit of a booty. After that, we needed to do some kind of head because it just wasn't going to work with what I was thinking after that. So I grabbed this what do you call these? God dang it. I'm drawing a blank now. Cork. I had this in my stash. I don't know, I ended up getting it at a garage sale or something in a pack. And I stuck it. I wanted to kind of smush it a little bit to where it could get on that skewer that I had. It kind of did crack it a little bit, but we glued it and made it work. I did use hot glue in that, and it stuck just fine after. And then we, had to make it look cohesive, so we started using more clay around that. This one just kind of ended turning into trial and error, to be honest with you guys. And this was not my first thought. That was my original thought there, was to use that as the nose. But we had to obviously wrap it now that everything else was filled with clay. We didn't want it orange. I was just gonna paint it at first, and paint the pill bottle, but it just didn't end up working out. So I was just like, well, might as well just cover it. The rest of his head's covered, might as well cover that too. So we just cover it, and then we glued it right onto his little head there. And then I'm just like, well, might as well make it all cohesive and cover the rest of his body with clay. So here we are. I ended up grabbing some water in a little cup and making sure that we're all good and smooth. Then that's gonna be kind of your main point here, is to make sure it's all smooth. And then we're gonna grab a little wooden bead and stick it down to the front of it to make it a little bit more of a nose. I mean, granted, he does the main thing is that he has his little muzzle, but you need to have a little bit of a nose. I do grab chestnut and paint him brown. This is 2 coats. This is actually the next day after he's all dry. I gave him a second coat after he was dry. The first coat is to kind of make sure that he isn't going to crack and shrivel, because sometimes his clay kind of has a tendency to do that. I did grab a snowflake. I thought about doing a little bit more of a pipe cleaner at first, but I was just like, I have these. This would be a lot better, because then it's going to be a little bit more realistic and wood. So I grabbed one of these, cut down, and we're going to make it a little bit thicker. So I cut it all apart, and we're going to glue them down together like this. And I do sand the edges a little bit just to make them a little bit smoother. And now we're going to glue them right down to his little head. To give him his little antlers. He needed some ears and a little tail, and I was that we were gonna do for ears and a tail. And then I saw these, and they're just like little punch outs that didn't completely come out in the ghosts. So I thought, oh my goodness, those are perfect for his little ears and tail. So we glued those down for that. And then I added some little googly eyes for his eyes. And we kind of agreed on Curtis for his name. And he looks a little special. So I did end up changing the color of his nose. It just looked a little like it blended in. So we went with black. I do end up painting the bottom of the little sticks down there to kind of make it look like he has hooves. And there he is. Little Curtis. Let me know down below what you guys think of little Curtis. DIY number 3. So, here is my second project with pill bottles. I had 2 extra empties. So I decided I was gonna play around with it. And I actually saw this off of Pinterest. This was not my idea. So, I thought it was very cute. I'm gonna go with it. I just grabbed the cover as you saw and I glued it to the bottom of the pill bottle, and it was a little unstable, so I just grabbed a little popsicle stick and just glued it to the bottom. That's basically just to get the cover kind of sticks out a little bit more on the bottom to it. Now I was gonna start taping, but the cover just wasn't high enough for my standard, so I'm grabbing a little styrofoam pumpkin that I had in my stash, and I'm cutting it in half circular ways, and I'm just gonna glue that right down to the very top of our cover here. And now we're gonna grab our tape and just tape it all the way around. I'm just using regular painter's tape, but you are more than welcome to use any kind of tape, masking tape, duct tape, whatever you want to do. This worked just fine for what I was using it for. I'm just basically covering it. I do end up painting it later, so it's not going to matter. And I only show you the one, but I'm basically just wrapping it around, wrap. Just enough to cover all the orange, basically. The only spot I didn't cover is right up there at the very, very tippity top, and you won't see that after we get done with what we're doing because we decorate it. I guess you do see me kind of glue down the top of the pumpkin there, but and then I give it all a good coat of black paint, and I do use my little black dress and DIY paint, and look how cute. We're making little boots. I do grab a little drum. These are just like little ornaments from Walmart. You can get them in like the little packages of like 4 for like the little Christmas tree ornaments. I going over it with Mod-Podged, and I'm going over it with, I think I was, oh my goodness, you guys. I gave it a coat of Barn Red and then went over it with some, went over the edges and gave it a little bit of detail with some antique copper. And now I cut my sock. If you guys don't know what I'm making yet, we're making a gnome. I cut it at the heel, and now I'm using the excess at the top of the sock for our arms. So I'm making my arms right now. I grab a pipe cleaner and I'm cutting it, and we're gonna roll the pipe cleaner in the sock here. Just like that. Now we are going to cut these down, so you don't need the pipe cleaner to be the whole length. That's why I'm cutting them down like that. Because these are awfully long. It's better to have them longer than have them too short. Keep that in mind. So here we're going to take our sock, and I'm only using the vase as a... I should have backed this up some, but I'm only using the vase as a holder because it's easier to pour rice in. Once the rice is poured in, I'm going to grab some polyfill. You do not have to use polyfill. You don't have to use rice. You can use whatever your little heart's desire. Plastic bags, rice, or rocks, or whatever, poly beads. I'm gonna tie it off with a rubber band, and make sure you tie it off with jute twine as well, you guys. Just make sure, so your rubber band, just in case your rubber bands fail on you. And here I'm measuring it out. This is when I say your arms will be cut down. Now I'm gonna glue a little bead to the bottom of it for your little hands. Usually I try to hide the fact that there's a little what do you call it, a little hole in the top there, but at this one we're actually going to need that little hole because our little gnome is actually going to be holding something in his hand. And he's actually gonna, we're actually gonna use that little hole to stick whatever he's holding down in that little hole of his arm. So, I actually made sure that that was actually showing. So, we're gonna glue the beard down, and we're gonna use this little sock. Got the sock from Dollar Tree, and we're gonna cut the excess off. We're gonna stuff the hat, and this one I'm gonna stuff fairly thick, and I'm gonna actually glue the hat down. I'm gonna glue the hat shut. This one I'm actually kind of going for a little bit of a different look here. I'm going for kind of like a trying to think of how to word it. I'm trying to go for kind of like a nutcracker looking hat. So they're kind of like tall and kind of flat on top. I don't know, they're kind of hard to explain. But I was trying to figure out how to do it with what I have. I don't have anything like it, and I figured the black and white would work with the colors that I picked out. I picked out this burgundy red kind of color, and everything. Right here, I'm just gluing down his hands and everything. We're going to add his little nose onto it, and we're going to glue the little hat down to his little nose. I was trying to pick out colors that would work for what we were going for, and that's kind of where I was struggling with it, because I wanted him to look authentic. Most of the ones that I've seen are dressed in like the red and gold and black and everything. The traditional nutcrackers are, you know, like the soldier ones. I didn't have anything really like that, and most of that was going to be covered up by his beard, so I didn't really want to go for the authentic one. So we kind of went our own little journey here. But anyway, I grabbed these little skewers. They're actually chopsticks, so we're kind of using the little chop stick part for inside the little hole there to where he can hold it. Otherwise the skewer sticks were actually a little too small or too big to fit into the little hole into his hand. But now we're gonna glue his little hands down to the little drum. I ended up adding a little or another string to the drum to where I could actually tie it around his body. You guys kind of saw me do a little bit of that. So here comes his boots. I'm kind of gluing his boots together to where it's kind of one item. It's easier to make the little gnome sit on top instead of having them two separate parts. So I needed something on top to where I could glue our little gnome to for on top of them instead of it just being the round circles. So here I'm kind of just going with a little bit of a popsicle stick for on top of there to just kind of giving me a more of a surface to glue his little bottom to our boots. I do put some multi-surface glue down along with some hot glue, because the hot glue isn't exactly the best solution for gluing a rice bottom to anything, just so you guys are aware. I mean, rice is something that heats up and can be used for like a hot pad and stuff. It's not exactly something that is exactly the best thing to glue down to anything, because it can end up making holes into your fabric. Ask me how I know. So here we're taking ribbon, or it's kind of like feathered ribbon, the black feathered ribbon, and I was just wrapping around the top of those boots, as you saw me do there, and we wanted to decorate the top there that also covers up the rest of the orange of the pill bottles. Here we're decorating his hat with some gold trim ribbon. I also do this to the very top of the hat. I don't think I show that. I think I ended up accidentally cutting it out. I'm also doing that to the bottom of the boots to give them a little bit of more pizzazz. You cannot see that on camera, and I didn't realize that, so I don't show you any of that, but I do show you it. I do kind of lift them up after they are done. After I get them all glued down, I'll lift him up here. There you go. And then I'm going to finish off his little hat with a little button from my stash. I also put a little white feather in his hat as well, and I added little red pom-poms to his little boots down on the bottom too. I ended up not showing that as well. But tell me guys, what you think of this little guy. I think he turned out absolutely adorable. Final reveal, guys, and let me know what you guys think of these cute little characters. I don't remember what we decided on naming our little drummer boy, our little nutcracker. It was like, I don't remember what we decided on. Anyway, he does have a name. I don't remember what it was, though. My husband's favorite was the birdhouse, though, and I do think it turned out awfully cute. Let me know down below, guys, what you guys think, and definitely make sure you go check out everybody on the playlist. See what everybody's going to make with toilet paper and pill bottles. I mean, this is going to be a pretty exciting challenge. Let's see what everybody comes up with. And let me know down below which one's your guys' favorite. And if I think of his name, I will pin it in the comments. But I hope everybody has fun with this challenge because it was interesting, that's for sure. So, I hope you guys all have a blessed week, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.